Hi everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks AVAX Labs for preparing this amazing event. I'm Javier Donoso, I'm Developer Relations at Gelato. And we're gonna talk about how tailor your transactions with smart executions and smart off-chain data using Gelato Web3 functions. Indeed, the title is very long, but it's on purpose. I will touch on this later. Please, for the moment, bear with me. As you can see, my Genesis blog was minted over 50 years ago, which is very seldom in the Web3 space. But please bear with me, I have something to tell you today. Then our agenda will be first to have a look how the backend architecture for Web3 apps are today, and how we're going to build decentralized and serverless Web3 apps using Gelato Web3 functions. And we're going to mint in a demo our NFT on Avalanche with an OpenAI generated image. And we will do that with Gelato Web3 functions and account abstraction. Then let's have a look how the current architecture of backend Web3 apps is today. When you start coding, you code some smart contracts, and you think that creating a front-end in React or Angular, you have already done your job. But actually, if you learn as I did doing hackathons, and I did 7 in a row last year, you very quickly realize that you need much more than this to offer features to your users. And you will need some IPFS, some database, some way to index the blockchain to get some historical data. You may need some job scheduler to automate transactions in a future moment of time. You will need some relayer, or you may need some off-chain data to bring some Web2 data on-chain. And you as a developer, you can do that. But the problem is not to do that. The problem is how you maintain and scale all of these features. And if you want 100% uptime, then you may need some different RPC endpoints. And if you want to deploy on different chains, then you will need to pay different service providers, and you will need to replicate your system in different networks. And you will need to store some sensitive private key in the cloud. And then you as a developer, and that is the main point, you become the central point of failure, because you are spreading your effort between infrastructure work and your custom logic. Therefore, we in Gelato, we want that you focus on your custom logic to offer your users the best experience possible. And that's why we, and this is our mission, we like to empowering builders to augment their smart contracts to create reliable, user-friendly, and scalable Web3 app without sacrificing decentralization and censorship resistance. It means that we offer you all of the functionalities that a Web2 backend has, but in a decentralized manner. Currently, we have 4 product offerings. We have the Automate, Gelato Automate, which has the ability to check some of the conditions on-chain and execute transactions on your behalf. We have also the Gelato Relay that allow you to offer gasless transactions to your users. We have the Gasless Wallet SDK that allow you to create agnosis safe and using the Gelato Relay to sponsor the transactions for your users. And we have the Web3 functions that will be the main topic for today that allow you to query some data on-chain and off-chain and execute transactions when you decide. Then, what are Gelato Web3 functions? Gelato Web3 functions are a kind of Web3 AWS Lambda functions or Google Cloud functions. And what they do is they enable developers to connect to your smart contracts with off-chain data to ensure that the data is accurate, to run any off-chain computation you may need, to execute transactions in all major EVM blockchains, to send notifications for your user, or to index and store data. And how does this work? Actually, you write your code in TypeScript, then you deploy your code on IPFS, and then the network of node executors from Gelato pick your code every minute and run your code. And in the case that you decide that the conditions are met with querying on-chain or off-chain data or subgraphs, then you send the payload to the Gelato protocol, and the Gelato protocol executes the transaction data on your target contract. Then the features of the Web3 functions are, it has TypeScript support, it gives you a RPC provider abstraction. It means that you don't have to take care of the RPC connection, because in the context of the Web3 functions we provided to you, it has environment variables, or also called secrets, where you can store some API keys that you don't want to be public. The Web3 function can be public or private. For the time being in beta, they are only public, but it's in our roadmap. We have state management. It means that every execution can start from something that you stored in the last execution. And we have a flexible payment where you can pay per usage. It means the more computation you need, the more you pay. We have a free tier where also allow one function to execute every minute. It's high scalable, and it allows to expand Web3 functions using on-chain transactions. Since we launched the product in February, we have seen a lot of use cases, and this is only a sample of them. Dynamic NFTs, DEX aggregator automating token swaps, automating bridging between different chains, bringing on-chain real-world results of football games. You can even post AI messages into CoruDAO, and you can actually have NFT limit orders multi-chain. Actually, you can do whatever you want to do, picking any information that is available either on-chain or off-chain. The ecosystem, the Gelato ecosystem in all of our products is quite big and is increasing every day. You can see every major protocol or in the DeFi space or NFT here in this map. It's not, we're not gonna go in detail, but this is our ecosystem. Then now let's go to the demo. Here, if you go to this URL, avax-summit.web.app, you will land in this web page. Actually, here we're going to use different Gelato products. We're going to use on the first instance the Gelato Gasless Wallet. The Gelato Gasless Wallet allows us to log in with our social login using Web3 Auth. At the time that we log in, we will create a smart contract, wallet, agnostic safe smart contract that will be associated for you. It won't be deployed, but it will deterministically check what is your address, and in the time that you launch the first transaction, it will deploy your smart contract. Then first of all, I'm going to log in. Now, Web3 Auth is checking that I'm authorized. It will create an address and a smart contract wallet. You can see here my AOA, my wallet. You can see the smart contract wallet that is not yet deployed. If we go now to Etherscan or to Snowtrace, we see that the smart contract wallet is not yet deployed, but we know already what is the address. And now we can mint an NFT, and it allows us to choose between two trades. We want our NFT to be minted by day or by night. And then once we do that, I'm going to choose by night. It's going to go to our contract that we see later in detail, and it will mint the NFT with a image, which is a normal image that you will see now, is a kind of placeholder image. Then once that happens, the Web3 functions that I've already prepared and is running on Avalanche will pick up when these NFT are minted, and then will go to OpenAI, will prompt an OpenAI generated image, and will update the metadata of the NFT. It's taking so long. I think the connection here is not so good, but we will 1 minute, and in the case that it does not happen, or we will come back later, we'll continue with the presentation. Actually, it's quite fast. Sorry, I don't know what is not happening. Good, we will come back later. Then, what we have seen in this demo, and we can go through the code later, is that with the Gasless wallet, we have used the social login. We created the smart contract wallet that will be deployed with the first transaction. And with the Gelato relay under the hood, we sponsor the transaction for the user. Actually, you have seen that I've not I've not signed any message with MetaMask. I've not signed any transaction with MetaMask. Actually, all that is happening. All of this is handled by you for you under the hood for giving your users a very seamless onboarding experience. The way how we pay all of these services is with one balance. Actually, you can deposit USDC on Polygon, and it will pay for all of your transactions for the Web3 functions or the gasless wallet. It means that you have like a gas tank, like a USDC tank, and it will be extracted every transaction from this. So you can very easily fund the transaction for your users. Now, if we go to the code, this is the NFT contract that we have used for the demo. Let's check whether still the demo is, have a look. Actually, it already minted the NFT. It went to the Web3 functions, pick up the new NFT, went to OpenAI, generate an image, and updated the metadata. If we go to the OpenSea, we see that this is the Gelato NFT bought on Avalanche. This is the By Night Barcelona NFT. And this is the 4 NFTs that actually are minted already in the test that I was doing preparing the presentation. If you go later to this web page, you can mint your NFT on Avalanche and you will have these nice and cute NFTs. And if we go to our Web3 execution, this is the Web3 functions. This is the Web3 function, and you can see in our task log that actually in the last minute, it executes the transaction. And you can see that it picked the new NFT that it was minted and then updated the NFT metadata. The only thing that we have missed is when the NFT is minted, it comes like a kind of confetti on the display, but we were already having a look on the presentation. That's why we didn't have the confetti. Okay, then that is actually what happened. We minted with our, we minted our NFT. And here we can see that this is not special, nothing special. We put our not reveal URI, which is a placeholder image in the NFT, and we emit the event a new NFT has minted. Then, then once the NFT, the Web3 functions, when it executes the transaction, it calls this reveal NFT with the new created OpenAI URI. And here is where we update the metadata of the minted NFT. Then that is the piece of code that we use to instantiate the Gelato smart contract wallet. We pass the sponsor key for the one balance that I mentioned before to pay for the transactions. And actually we use the normal Web3 auth configuration. I haven't put here the details, but it's quite simple. And then this is the place where we mint with our gasless wallet with the method sponsor transaction, and we say, please mint this NFT sponsoring the transaction with the configuration we just passed before. And then this is part of the Web3 functions code that we can have a look much more in detail later, but here is actually where we create the NFT, update the metadata, and send the execution. We encode the execution, and we encode the reveal NFT method, and we execute the transaction on chain. Then let's have a look at the code. What is, I think maybe this is too big. Can you see it like this? Okay. Then we have here some helper methods or the NFT API that we will need later. This is the original URI that we use. Here is how we use the generate. The properties is not so important. And here is actually the interesting code. This is how, this is the code that every minute our Gelato executors will run on your behalf. And first of all, we have some user arguments. Here I pass the contract address as an argument. in this case, I have two secrets, two environment variables that I don't want to be public. One is my NFT storage key, which is a Filecoin product in order to store easily my NFTs. And I also have my OpenAI key because it costs money and I don't want that is public. This is one of the features of the Web3 functions. If we go down, we can see that I parse the storage of the Web3 function. It means I get the last token ID that it was minted. And I do that because I don't want to rebuild an NFT already rebuilt. I take the last one that was minted, that I stored, and then I check whether it's a new token in between. Then, then here, I instantiate within my Web3 functions the contract of the NFT, and I check what is the last token ID, whether it's a new NFT available or not. In the case that there is no NFT available, I say can exec false, no new tokens. And if we go to our execution, you can see now in the logs that after the execution is happening, the next run, the Web3 function, check and says, oh, I don't have nothing to exec because there is no new tokens. Good, then you have already seen the secrets and environment variables. You have already seen the user arguments and the storage, which are three of the features that we saw before in the presentation. Here we have an additional check. Imagine that for some reasons, you have to redeploy your Web3 function. Actually, the storage is not maintained. When you cancel your Web3 functions, disappears. Then in the case that you want to run again your Web3 functions, you have to deploy, it will start from the first token. Then you will do again all of the reveal NFT by all of the NFTs. Then what we do here is we check whether the placeholder URI is still on the NFT, and in the case that has already changed, it means that we already rebuilt the image. And then we move to the next one. This is the part here. Then in the case that is still the placeholder URI, it means that the OpenAI has not yet generated an image for this NFT. Then we instantiate OpenAPI with the NPM module of OpenAI. Actually, we're using the SDK, and this is something which is very useful and differentiate us from our competitors, that we can use any NPM module from the major Uniswap, Paraswap, or other SDKs. Then when that this happens, we create an image with the description that we have created before, and we got the URL of the OpenAI. Then we convert this URL, well, we don't execute if there is an error. We convert this image to a blob. Then we instantiate a NFT client. We upload to this NFT client our metadata. Then we have our new hash for this new metadata. We set the storage to the last process ID. So in the next execution, we can pick up from here. And then we encode our data and we send it to a reveal NFT transaction. And that is actually all that it takes for the Web3 function to execute and, in this case, reveal an OpenAI image on your NFT. What we can do is we can also have a look. Still, I think someone from you want to mint an NFT. We can see whether it picks. Do you have, well, if not, you can do it later. Actually, you will own an NFT on Avalanche for free. Then, now we are here in the front end, in the React front end. And we can see how we instantiate the gashless wallet and how we sponsor the transaction. Then this is actually the main config object, which is the same that Web3 Auth uses. When we have that, we create our Gelato login, and we instantiate. When this happens, we receive a Web3 auth provider, and we can use actually our address. And when this happens, here we can check whether it's deployed, and we listen for the events of the contract. Actually, very standard code in React. One very interesting feature that the Web3 function has is that for security reasons, we create a proxy contract to forward all of the transactions that the Web3 function has for you. It means that when you log in with your address, it will be created a dedicated message sender, a proxy contract from you. And in the case that you need, for instance, batch executions, you could use this proxy contract. We have seen one execution for one NFT. But actually, if you use the proxy contract as your target contract, you can batch, in this case, till 5 NFTs. And then you will, if we go down to our, here we can see that we create the different call data for the NFT, and then we will execute not in the target contract. Here we encode our reveal function, and we pass it to an array, and then we execute in our proxy contract with batch execution call, and then we do 5 transactions in a row. Then this is actually all what I wanted to share with you. I went through the code and went through what the Web3 functions are. I think I would like to do some a little reflection on a final reflection. I joined the Web2 space like in January 2022, and I was not here. I was not around during the DeFi crazy summer, but and I was not confronted with the promise of exponential growth. But I think if we create the building blocks like I'm presenting you today, like seamlessly onboarding on Web3 and functionalities that the users need, then we'll be able to grow. And I think we should have an optimistic approach on how the Web3 space and how the ecosystem is going to grow. Then I don't have nothing more to say. If you have any questions, or we can go to some of the details of the code. Happy to answer them. Thank you very much for bearing with me and listen to the presentation. Oh, thank you very much. Bye.